M. Night Shyamalan movies are always a little tricky for me. Always kind of enjoy theatrical experiences, but then don't really enjoy rewatch experiences, and some more than others. And front and center, the 10th anniversary of The Visit, a film that we haven't watched. We've kind of done the math. We definitely haven't watched it in the last 5 years. So we went back to it, gave it a watch. Let's talk about it right now. Hey everybody, I am Pops, and I've been reviewing movies for a very long time, and I can tell you that I've had theatrical experiences watching nearly every M. Night movie in theaters for the first time. Mrs. Pops is a huge fan of his work, and The Visit was no exception to that. She was willing to go back to this. We did a rewatch of this experience, and I have to tell you, didn't really remember much about the film at all. It was kind of interesting to kind of almost relive it for the first time. I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing for the movie, but let's get into it a little bit more. The movie has a ton of like found footage approach to everything. The daughter Becca, is filming this experience where they're going to visit and meet their grandparents for the very first time because they have a very estranged relationship with their mom. Mom has got this sort of putting her life back together moment. She's going to go on their cruise with this new boyfriend, and Catherine Hahn, who plays the mom, does a really good job in this movie. Very sentimental and emotional. A lot of good scenes that kind of set everything up, and then we're going to send them out on this trip. Yeah, like I said, Catherine Hahn does a good job. She talks a little bit about everything. They get picked up. They go to this nice, beautiful little place, and Nana and Pop Pop are there, and she has these little voice messaging things with them, and kind of touch base as the pair sort of kind of figure out that Nana and Pop Pop are kind of messed up. And reality is a lot of old person stuff. The first half hour or so is more like, well, they're kind of forgetful. They do a lot of weird things. They're kind of odd. Of course, they set up all of these traditional sort of like go to bed early type rules that grandparents would have. Those kinds of things. Nothing of any major concern. Now, I want to give praise to Deanna Dunagan. She is sort of like the star of this movie for me. She plays Nana, and Nana is the one that's having the most mental issues. She has this breakdown in the middle of her like interview, if you will, with Becca, talking about the situation with the mom and the falling out. But more importantly, she's the one that's got like all these crazed, weird behaviors that start manifesting after dark. So she's sundowning. And it's kind of the first time many of us had kind of seen this sort of front and center, and the movie does a good job of talking about that, and her performance is kind of what drives that and makes it so believable. So here's a little tease of the Nana scenes and kind of what's going on with that. Her acting strange at night, scratching at walls. Obviously, you see just weird behavior that's actually happening. The trailer sets it up, I think, pretty well without giving too much away, but I would stay clear of the trailer if you've never watched this movie. Then there's Pop Pop. Pop Pop's also a little strange. He's got some weird things going out in the barn, and the kids are really curious and trying to figure things out. But as you can see, Pop Pop's got issues as well. And again, I wouldn't watch the trailer. I'd stay clear of a lot of the other details. But they kind of decide with what is going on. Let's figure some of this stuff out on our own. And that's where the twist starts to kind of unpack because they're unnerved, they're unsettled, they don't really know what's real, what's not real, what are the strange things they're trying to pick up because they're still kids. I think the biggest thing for me is just that the film is actually very well made. I actually had a pretty good time watching the film, good experience. I don't find the film nearly as creepy and eerie or weird or anything like that I probably felt in that first time watching it. Mrs. Pops and I just had a very pleasant time rewatching the film. So I'll get into the spoiler and the twist, which is kind of what I remembered about the film. Overall, I'm going to give this sort of the Midland that 2.5 to 3 star, depending on where you are on his film, his style, that kind of thing. If you're truly wanting a horror film or something like that, this is probably not going to live up to that standard. But if you're looking at almost like that PG-13, poltergeist, gateway, thriller, horror type movie that would be good enough for like the teenagers to kind of get into the genre, this is probably that type of film. It's really not nearly on the caliber of something as good as like Misery, but it is nothing really weird or inappropriate. It's more like just uncomfortable levels and levels and levels of uncomfortable and questions that you're going to ask about elderly and aging and the impact of things. So as you can see, there's just weird things that are going to be unpacking. They're sort of doing crazy things. They realize they're actually in harm's way. A lot of strange things start happening. It's eerie, it's odd, it's strange. The kids don't quite know what to do and how they're going to survive things. And then there's kind of like some interesting things and also some super creepy things that Nana and Papa start doing, and the kids don't know what to do. Of course, what is the big twist? What is the big secret? Well, guess what, guys? It's not really their Nana and Pop Pop. It's two mental patients that got away. And it really is a pretty clever story and how M. Night kind of threads it together. I don't dislike it. I didn't have a terrible experience. I remembered the twist. That was kind of the thing for me. And I don't always enjoy his films for that reason. So for me, that 2.5, 3 star is definitely a ceiling for me. I have to err on the side of low because I don't see the need to watch this movie again for another 5 to 8 years because I got it. Maybe I wouldn't object to watching it again. I don't have anything majorly negative about it, but the twist is sort of like it once you know that's the twist and you know they're saved because obviously with movies like this you're on the edge of your seat how it will kind of play out. It's fine. I just think that he's uh just in the shadow of his better films. Sixth Sense and others are just significantly better films. They're clever ideas, they're interesting. All right, so my real issue with the film is this ending, this little almost like a stinger, if you will, that happens after the events of the movie, where they cut back to Catherine Hahn's character talking about what actually happened between her and her parents, this big falling out. And the emotion of all that is just like way after the fact. I'm like, why are we watching this now? Why is anything happening? I felt like this was a scene that maybe the kids would have found while they were questioning what happened with Pop Pop and Nana, and maybe they'd want to ask Pop Pop to talk about it or something, and he didn't know because he wasn't really Pop Pop. But it was so weird having this emotional thing hung on the end of a film like this. So this was a even bigger negative for me. I feel like I should just stop the movie right when the police get there and stuff. So I don't know. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. The film is just kind of one of those where I feel like Mrs. Pops will watch it, so M Night will be back in the rotation probably sooner than the 5 year window. But reality is, I'm sort of meh on this film. For me personally, because the rewatchability is so low, I'm kind of downgrade the film a little bit further for that. But objectively, that 2.5 to 3 for me becomes that 2.5 stars. Like, meh, it's all right. It's a little on the left side because there's no real surprises. There's nothing great about performances that worthy of like, hey, I can't wait. Like every time I watch Misery, I'm always blown away at how great James Caan and Kathy Bates are. Every time I watch some of these thrillers and suspense type things that are like this, I'm like, those are so much better than this one. So anyway, that's my take on it. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Pops.